Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Habibis, three game developers drinking good Arab tea. I'm your host for this week, Osama Dorias.
And I'm Fawzi Mesmar.
And I'm Rami Ismail.
How
I should
y'all
have figured
doing?
out who says what in what order.
No, this
Yes.
is better. It's chaos.
This is better. This is like I'm just waiting for Fawzi. Fawzi's just waiting for me. We're like, wait, who goes first? It's like a game of chicken, but Fawzi won.
This
Nothing
reminds me of
like-
our very first episodes, right?
Nothing like a bit of dead air to like really make the audience
to
enjoy
start-
our episodes.
Just to start things, just go like
Comedic timing.
really helps. Just like a good silence. Gonna get the momentum going, get people ready for the awkward silences when one of us drops out or like the connection breaks or whatever.
Yeah, I'm on cellular internet for this podcast, so
It's great.
that's gonna
Remember
mean
that
like
podcast
I'm
I did
gonna
from a car?
I'm gonna interrupt you sometimes. We're gonna be talking over each other. This is gonna be
It
like a
just
Zoom
happened.
call,
Yeah.
but recorded audio.
For
Embrace the
everybody to
chaos.
enjoy. Yeah.
Wait, Zoom call? Am I muted? Can you hear me?
What?
The obligatory Zoom greeting.
It has to happen. Oh, you're muted, actually.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, it's important.
I love those group
Um,
meetings when there's like, more than 10 people in the room. And you can tell that there's this one person that wanted to say something, but like, either didn't want to or weren't following because they were emailing the entire time. And then like
Right.
once the meeting is over, they unmute for the first time. Go like, all right, thank you, everybody. And then that was
That was great. That was great. Really good work, everybody. Well done.
really good.
Some people don't even try to hide it. You're like in a meeting with them and they're emailing you about something
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
different. You're like, aren't you paying attention? I'm talking here.
I have that in meetings every now and then where they're like, Rami, stop tweeting. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm like, wait, what are you doing on Twitter? They're like, what are you doing on Twitter? It's like, both of us told on ourselves.
Uh-oh.
Week was good. Finished Hawkeye, watched The Matrix, got
You
my
too.
Analog Pocket,
Oh, I didn't do that one.
playing Golden Sun, starting to catch up with Destiny again. Good week all around.
Yeah, I also finished a Hawkeye and watched The Matrix. And I played an old classic game that I had missed when it came out. I played Firewatch and finished it for the first time.
That's not a classic, man. You're not like, come on, you're the one that's the oldest of us. You shouldn't call that a classic.
What? I mean, didn't it come out like 7 years ago at this point?
That's
Yeah,
not a
but-
classic. That's like
The
half
game
my
is old,
career.
but it's not that old.
I can't even keep up anymore.
I played a classic the other day. It's Halo Infinite. You might have heard of
That's so last week, Rami.
Yeah.
Come on, get with the times.
I
actually
thought you were
did play
gonna
Halo.
say something like Chrono Trigger or something like that.
Right.
Like,
I was
yeah.
the same. I'm ready for this, like, blast to the past. And it's like, no, this is like middle of my career stuff.
Well, it's really old for me because that, like, for me, if it's a game that made such a big impact and I miss it,
Mhm.
every year that passes, it feels like it's 10 years that passed because people
Me
talk
neither.
about it and refer it, and I don't know what they're talking about. Because
My favorite thing about Firewatch is I have a Firewatch shirt that I got from Shan Vonneman, who was one of the leads on the project, or the lead on the project. I forgot exactly what he did. But at PAX, we would run into each other. And we sort of got this tradition of just like giving each other like very, very aggressive criticism about our games while we were visiting each other's booth. But then one time I caught him talking to a journalist and I just kind of cut into the conversation and just started asking like, so Firewatch, did you just run out of budget? Like what happened? Like, where did the guns go?
That's
Like-
actually an interesting conversation. That once we come back and start talking about games, we have something special.
Yeah,
Fine.
you're walking away from the microphone, so it's hard to. What
Oh,
happened?
sorry. That
So we have
the
something
Zoom
very
call.
interesting today.
I was leaning back and getting comfortable. All right.
How far do you lean back? Is your seat go back like flat? Is this like a business seat in an airplane?
He's leaning back all the way to the front door to pick up a package.
So with Sean, I was just giving him a lot of trouble, and we just kept. I'm just like, yeah. So did you not have money for characters? Like, is that what happened? Like, did you only have money for one VO and that was it? And then eventually he just threw me a t-shirt, like, just get out of here. I'm like, okay. And the journalist was just like, wow, this Robbie seems like a terrible human.
That's actually a really funny thing about the game, because while playing it, after a sec, it kicked in that, oh, this is what they're doing. It's an elegant game that has very small moving parts. And every time it tries to fool you after that, that you're going to see someone else. Like, and there are many instances where like go over there and see this person, or go over there and meet that person. I didn't buy it.
Right.
Like instantly. Like I'm talking about after the first 20 minutes of the game, there was no point. I would just wanted to see how they would cleverly not do it this time. And
Right.
and then at the very end, and I know this is spoilerific, I'm not sure if we should.
It's not really.
It's a
Osama,
classic game.
It's a classic. This is decades ago.
But at the very, very end, when you finish the game and you see the person in the helicopter, I was actually taken aback. I'm like, oh my God, there's another character model.
This is just a copy of your own character model.
Yeah. This is what they chose to put their money on. Okay, interesting.
It's a smart game. Smart game.
Very
anyway,
good.
Speaking of games, I think we have, as Osama was saying, as he moved away from
man,
we have something special today.
As I was getting comfortable.
Great segue for this.
Go.
Firewatch was on one of my games of the year list when that game came out 7 years ago. Speaking of which,
okay, we cut everything out before that and lean into the.
This is like the first minute of the podcast. If you've been listening to us talk nonsense for 7 minutes, no, you didn't.
That never happened.
Please, Rami, please magically make this make me cool.
I don't need to do anything for that. That's not a challenge. Give me a challenge.
Usually Rami does the other way around. He intentionally makes us look uncool. Right?
No, I intentionally make pauses between us longer so that my Destiny story falls even flatter. I'm still having a lot of fun with the Star Horse, for the record.
Sometimes I think about this between me and myself, and I just laugh out loud on my own.
about the silence there, yeah.
But like, how excited you are about this, and like how like Osama and I could not follow at all.
Like, that's very cool, Robbie.
Yeah, like good for you.
You sounded like.
Is this what we sound like to our parents when we talk about video games?
I think this is the first time I really had to reckon with the fact that not everybody cares as much about Destiny as I do. Everybody in Destiny is like, "Oh yeah, Star Horse, it's awesome, it's so good," and then you two were just like, "Yeah, that's very exciting, Rami." Anyway, other things that are very exciting are games that came out in 2021, and I think we're gonna go over the best ones.
Oh my God,
2021 already? Wait, what?
The year is over. My life is passing in front of me.
Yeah,
right.
That was so quick.
Remember January?
Barely.
That was last week, right?
It was pretty recent. No, it's weird because it was both a very long year and a very short year.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, very eventful year for sure.
Yeah, a lot happened in my life. Good,
Same.
bad, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, but all throughout, there were video games. I'm really trying to push it to that segment because this is going to take a good hour, and we're already 10 minutes in.
All right,
how about it's a miracle that video games are made generally.
Yeah.
Right.
It's even more of a miracle that games are getting released during this pandemic.
I agree 100%. The challenges of making games remotely, onboarding people remotely, aligning remotely, they're huge. They're
it's
really
enormous.
Yeah. And the bigger the team, the bigger the challenge, in my humble opinion.
Well. Can I test something?
Yeah.
I just want to figure out how you two feel about this, because I think it's a big question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Hitman 3?
I looked at it and as I'm making my game of the year list, I was like, oh my God, it came out this year.
That was January 20th of this year.
That was January 20th of this. We talked about it on this podcast. And then I realized every game we spoke about on this podcast is Game of the Year 2021 candidate.
Yep. Almost every single game we talked about that came out is a 2021 game.
Oh my God. I just realized that now. You realized that before I did. That's incredible. Well, I kept a list. Because otherwise I would not remember. I kept a list of what I played because otherwise I would not remember.
Oh, wow.
I've played like nearly 50 new games this year. How are you supposed to just keep that straight? Which came out this year? So I was prepared. I knew we were going to do it.
Wow, you extrapolated the past into the future. And so, at some point we're going to do a Game of the Year list. I always write a Game of the Year list for Giant Bomb, so I always keep track. And I'm excited to do that. But I guess people here are going to get a little preview of my thinking then.
Yeah, that's good. So how do we do this with 3 people and 3 lists? How do we start?
Good question.
How about we start with each of our number 10?
This is a very Arab thing. It's like, let's all get together and play some games. And then you sit down and like, which game? And it's like, oh.
Usually FIFA,
right?
I like the idea of going number 10 each.
Yeah.
But I didn't rank mine yet.
Oh, you didn't rank yours?
No, I didn't rank mine.
We do a Habibis ranking on the air. So we each say our games in whatever order. And then the host...
I see I'm being volunteered here. All right, I'm in.
Prepares an Excel sheet, and then we rank them while we're doing this.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good.
I'm going to give them a score. Get the spreadsheet. Rank. It's coming.
Sama, get the spreadsheet and some tea.
The spreadsheet is ready. Go.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. All right, Fauzi.
I knew how to pick. It would have taken me at least 40 seconds more.
Right. All right. So how about Fauzi starts, and then in the meanwhile, I'm just gonna make sure that I get my favorite 10 of the year out of my list because I have like 35 games listed.
Okay, so I should say my 10 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sent you the link to the spreadsheet.
That's great.
You can see it live.
That's great. Osama, just Fauzi doesn't know how to type, so can you just make sure you do it?
I'm typing it.
Just
in case you want to see it.
All right. I have them in ranked order as well, but I'll say them just for kicks, and then we can talk about them as we're ranking them in the sheet, okay?
Okay.
All right. So my number 10 is Metroid Dread.
Ooh,
okay. Number 9 is Deathloop.
Okay.
Number 8 is Riders Republic.
Okay.
Number 7 is Resident Evil Village. Number 6 is It Takes Two. Number 5 is Persona 5 Strikers.
Okay.
Number 4 is Hitman 3. Number 3 is Unpacking. Number 2 is The Artful Escape. And number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay, I had missed the 9. Can you repeat the 9?
Just the first 9, Osama.
No.
Just the first 9.
Between Metroid Dread and Riders Republic. Smart.
Deathloop. It was Deathloop. Deathloop.
Now I got them all.
I usually so when I publish my list every year, I put my top 15 games of the year.
Oh,
so
I see.
I just put the top 10. But there's 5 that are out. Can I say them anyway?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. My number 15 is Psychonauts 2.
Okay.
14 is Curse of the Dead Gods.
Mm-hmm.
13 is Wild at Heart. 12 is WarioWare. And 11 is Valheim.
Oh, very good choices. Okay. All right, I guess
Thank you.
I'll go next while Remy's still figuring out his order.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep, right. Go for it.
So this is a very different list than Fauzi's, which is part of the fun of it. My number 10 is Backbone. Okay. My number 9 was Guardians of the Galaxy. My number 8 is Loop Hero. My number 7 is It Takes Two. My number 6 is Slice and Dice. My number 5 is Unpacking. Okay. My number 4 is Forgotten City. My number 3 is The Artful Escape. My number 2 is Inscription. And my number 1 is Returnal.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I need to say, I was telling Rami this as we were waiting for the recording.
I wasn't late. I was the first person to show up.
And then you were also the last person to show up.
In the 3 minutes that we were waiting for Osama to show up. That I really want to play Encryption and Loop Hero. But those are some of the games that I couldn't play. Yeah. So I'm excited to see that you caught them on your list. And wonder if Rami had it on his.
Let's find out.
Well, so I didn't rank mine. And I still haven't ranked mine. I'm just going to give you 10 games.
And I'll rank them for you. Is that how it
works? Exactly. Osama, you're a genius. Let's go. So I have Persona 5 Strikers, which I, really, really liked. And I'm just checking whether my next game is actually 2021. I think it is. Oh, God. I need to check.
We'll fact check you. Just say.
Yeah, tell us.
Yes, it is Bowser's Fury.
Yes,
it is 2021.
Yeah, you spoke about it on the podcast. That's the.
That's true. That's true.
It's one of my honorable mentions as well. I had a hard time knowing if I should put it or not because it is 2021. But is it?
Bowser's Fury is.
That's true.
That's why I specifically said Bowser's Fury and not Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. The Super Mario 3D World was pretty good, but the Bowser's Fury really got to me.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I had a similar thought about Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which I absolutely loved playing it from beginning to end, back to back. But is it a new?
So okay. So let's just get my complicated ones out of the way. I have both Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Destiny 2 Beyond Light just on one line because they're both sort of like old games but ongoing, I guess.
There's Destiny on a Rami list. What a shocker!
What a shocker!
Did you see this coming?
No,
nobody saw that coming.
I'm expecting all 10 lines to be Destiny expansions.
Destiny 2 Star Horse. And then another one that is a little complicated, but I'm going to put it here because it was such a step up over the original, was Nier Replicant.
Yeah.
Also, all your favorite games from this year are from other years.
Yeah, also on my list, but I didn't want to because it was a remake-ish remaster.
Yeah, I feel that it's just such a better version than the original that, I felt it deserved it.
Yeah. It's true.
Then I have the predictable ones. I have Unpacking, Loop Hero, The Artful Escape, and Inscription. Osama can type real fast. It's really good.
Yeah, I can hear that.
And then finally, I have Opus, Echo of Starsong.
Oh, yes. It's on my I haven't finished list, but I really enjoyed.
And then I want to do an honorable mention for Babel Royale, which came out the other day, and it's been like an addiction.
Okay, so I'm missing one game for you. I'm going to repeat them and you tell me what I missed. I have Persona 5 Strikers, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Nier Replicant, Unpacking, Loop Hero, Artful Escape, Inscription, and Opus. That's 9.
Persona 5 Strikers is the last one.
That was the first one I meant. That's still 9.
Oh, wait. 1, 2,
You owe me 1 game,
4,
Rami.
5,
You're shortchanging me.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, I see what's happening. Let's see. Yeah, then just put Babel Royale.
Babel Royale?
Babel Royale.
I don't know that game.
It's a battle royale game where you play Scrabble against each other.
What? Okay.
It's very good. Great. It's very good. You basically start by dropping a letter onto a Scrabble board from the sky, all of you, and then you make words, and if you manage to connect your most recent word to the most recent word of an opponent, you defeat them. Wow. And then there's a circle that gets smaller, and if your active word, so the last word you wrote, is in the shrinking circle, you start taking damage, and then there's a bunch of power-ups that you can use and save for. And it's great. We should play some Babel Royale sometimes.
That sounds like Fortnite.
That sounds like fun.
Scrabble.
Yeah, it's super good Scrabble. Yeah. I bought the season pack, which allows you to pick your starting letter.
That's that's a decision. I can't wait to try this. It's intriguing.
It's very good.
I love that it made it into the top 10 list for Rami, almost on a technicality. He was like, I thought I had 10. Oh well, now it's 10.
I have a lot of games that could still make it on there. Like obviously Returnal, I have Metroid Dread, I have Hitman. I couldn't go with Unsighted. There's a lot of games that I still want to mention, but if we're going to do a top 10 list and we're going to try and make the Habibis top 10 list, then I think we're going to have to simplify it.
I also had games that like Wild Myth, Chicory. There was like a bunch of games that were like pretty good that I would have loved for them to make it on. Age of Empires, the new one. Like there's a bunch of cool games, but
Eastward,
Ratchet and Clank,
Tetris Effect,
Ratchet and Clank,
Car Loser,
Forza 5.
City. Yeah,
there's so many. Like I could have made a separate top 10 list, and it would have been almost as accurate. There's just so many good games.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we do this? How do we give them scores? Do we like the designer in me has a something in mind, but I know you're all designers. So how do we figure out our top 10 live?
I think what we should do is probably just see which games are already multiple mentions.
Good start.
So like the one I see is made it in all of our lists are the Artful Escape.
Yep, I agree.
We all have it.
Yep.
We all have Unpacking.
Yep.
Those are the 2 games that all 3 of us have.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Okay. And then let's see what the doubles are, because I think both me and Fauzi mentioned Persona 5 Strikers.
That's right.
I think Inscription got mentioned between me and Osama.
That's right. Loop Hero as well, between you and Osama. Guardians of the Galaxy between me and Osama, and It Takes Two between me and Osama as well.
Yep. And then beyond that, it's all uniques. So
So we fight over them, basically.
We fight over them.
So
we're going to play some Battle Royale.
Almost. We have our Habibis top 5, kind of.
Yeah, we have Habibis top 5.
Yeah.
Let's rank those first and then fight over the next 5.
Yeah. So the number 1 and number 2, Artful Escape and Unpacking. Which order?
For me, I would have had Artful Escape as my number 1.
Oh, yeah, great. We're
just as easily as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. All right. I had Artful Escape as my number 3 and Unpacking as 5. So I would agree with Fauzi.
Yeah, if I had to rank it, as my number 2 and Unpacking at number 3. Like, you can tell that they're both very close and dear to me.
Right.
But I had Artful Escape higher.
All right. Yeah, for me, I would start with Unpacking. That would be my number 1, I think. Mm-hmm. I really liked the Artful Escape. I thought it was really well done, but Unpacking has just a certain level of elegance to it.
Yeah.
That I just am so impressed by that game that
I agree.
I think more than the immediate experience of playing it, I think Unpacking will just be stuck in my head for years as like, you can do that, right?
Yeah. I agree. They're both going to, because Artful Escape actually caused me to think a lot about why I'm and who I'm making, how I should. So both of them are. Right.
Artful Escape for me is always like, because I was talking to some of the people in the Discord channel earlier this morning. Because I am looking a lot into the creative process and all of that kind of stuff. Like, the Artful Escape is that embodied in a video game to some extent. It's a personal journey into discovering your own creative process to some extent. And it's made in a video game in a way that it's both brave and naive at the same time. It's hard not to love it for me.
But at the same time, if I took exactly what you just said and changed the creative process to life and then changed Artful Escape to Unpacking, that entire statement would still work, which is, I guess, why these two games are fighting for the top spot.
They're so good because they're both amazing games.
Exactly. They speak to like life in a way that, video games rarely really do. And they both do it with such a level of elegance and like precision that it's, I think there's no question about that. These are at the top of the games list this year. So we'll fight over 1 or 2 later. Let's see if we can get 3, 4, 5 figured out.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's a trickier one. Let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, because I know all 3 of us played it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So all 3 of us played the Guardians of the Galaxy. All 3 of us played The Takes Two.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about these.
Yeah.
I did
because
not play
with Encryption and Loop Hero, I just know that they're great, but I haven't managed to play them.
Right. All right. Let's talk Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what? When I finished Guardians, when I finally was done with that game, I really appreciated it. I thought it was really good, but I still feel like it came together somewhat wonkily at points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what ended up just dropping it off my top 10 list. There were so many games this year that were just so solid and so well executed that Guardians, it really shines on narrative, right?
Yeah,
it just
really does.
It's just like it's almost like a beacon in terms of like how to handle narrative for like a small group of people that you all have to care for. Like, was a very precious story. But in terms of gameplay, I enjoyed it, but too often I kind of felt like, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. I don't think it was, in terms of like mechanics or gameplay or combat, that special, but the narrative was so good, and the banter between characters was so good. It's seriously aspirational when it comes to that level. Like, I think a lot of games are going to watch closely what Guardians did and try to take something from it and be like, okay, this is how you do interactions, like narrative interaction.
It's masterclass level, in which, like, a busy cast of characters all somehow got their space.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And the stage in which all of this was set up was really inspiring in terms of, like, I know it's based on the comics and whatnot, but it really brought it to a very spectacular level of, like, a backdrop of a very incredible story to be told.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I guess the bigger question for us is like, what are we basing this list on, right? Like, are we making a list for us? Are we making a list of like, here's the 10 games you should play? Are we making a game of like, here's the 10 list game developers are inspired by? Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
What
a bit
list
of
are we
both.
making?
It's a bit of both, right? Because it's like we were 3 game developers drinking tea, talking about games, and these are like the the consolidation of the games that all 3 of us thought were really good this year. But it's not a judgment on the game. It's like our taste in games.
Right. Right. For sure. I mean, so to just swap it real quick to It Takes Two, then, right? Yeah. I really appreciate the work that they're doing with co-op gameplay. I thought it was well done co-op gameplay. I appreciated the game at best. I actually think I did not like It Takes Two.
Okay.
Which is kind of wild because while I was playing it, I'm like, yeah, this is clever. And then when I was done, I was like, yeah, okay. You know when you have games like that where you're continuously playing it, yeah, this is pretty good. And then at the end, you just kind of walk away and like, I hope the weather outside is good.
It was because you're thinking about flying all the time. That's why.
Right. Fair. But at the same time, I didn't have that with other games. So...
yeah.
For me, I agree, but It Takes Two for me was the pull to go back. Like I played it with my daughter, absolutely looking forward to finish my work day so that we can play another chapter. Like that pull to go back to a game, I don't feel it as much as I used to. There's a lot of games. There are a lot of options. I have a pull to play a game, but a specific game, not as much. Do you follow what I mean? So for me, like until it was over, you're right. It's not going to really stay with you, like to me at least.
Right.
But like the experience of playing it did, not necessarily the narrative of it, themes of it. I thought those were kind of a little shallow, but fit the game perfectly.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's a sense of authorship to that game that is in a very less personal way, similar to the Artful Escape, in which like there's a bit of the creator in that game.
Yeah.
Even though like like it's not necessarily at that same level of a personal story or personal journey, which I think why the Artful Escape stood out a lot more for me. But there's a lot of personality and authorship to It Takes Two.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be really honest. I would place neither of them at 3, 4, or 5.
Okay. Wow.
Like for me, we have Inscription and Loop Hero, and those are very easy fits for the 3, 4, 5 like part.
Yeah, but it's hard to do that with Fauzi. Hasn't played either.
Right, but yeah, at the same time, I don't think that necessarily means that they can't be 3, 4, 5. It just means that Fauzi missed out on games 3, 4, 5.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think I just didn't play them, so I wouldn't know, and that's why I wanted to discuss the games that we all play. Right.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, I'll be really honest. I don't think either of those games would make it in my top 5. Maybe at number 5.
Yeah. But considering that how much Osama and I would enjoyed them, they would make some spots there for the overall Habibis list.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I'm just feeling that Inscription and Loop Hero, like if like Osama, because you played Guardians and It Takes Two and Loop Hero, and you're the connecting factor here.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, from all of these, Inscription is definitely, it was almost my game of the year. Like I went back and forth between Returnal and Inscription, and really I'm still not sure if I made the right choice. They're both such excellent games, so I would definitely put Inscription above.
I'll be okay with that. I'm okay with Osama actually being the tiebreaker on this.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's so much power. I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know either. It depends on which you pick for number 4 and 5.
Since you create the sheet, you get some extra points. Also, we're an hour podcast. We're not a 4-hour podcast, so
we gotta hurry this up. Is what you're saying? Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
No, it's not that we have to hear. Like these are the games we agree on. We have 5 games that we don't agree on. So
right. Yes. No, but Osama, can you give your reasoning for why Inscription ends at 3?
So Inscription is an incredibly solid game on its own when you start playing it for the game itself. It's a card game, and I'm a huge fan of card games. As a card game, it's solid. It's fun. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of surprise. It's roguelike elements, make it very replayable. And then there's this like other layer of narrative on top of it. Sorry, another layer of mechanics on top of it, where it's also an escape room game, and this you figure out like right away as soon as you play it, that changes the whole dynamic of the game in an interesting and surprising way. And just those two together would have been enough. But then there's another layer of narrative on top of it. And then when you finish the game, you didn't really like. There's more to discover, and it just keeps surprising you at a pace that I didn't think possible from this little game that I downloaded based on Rami's like offhand recommendation. I'm like, I hadn't at the point I played this game, I hadn't heard all that much about it. I asked, okay, what game am I missing? And people said, play this, and it kept surprising me over and over and over.
It's like a layered cake, but not coherent flavors.
But all delicious.
Cake. But it's all delicious,
it's
right?
All
like
delicious.
you go in for a chocolate cake, and then the second layer is like mango, and you're like, wait, what?
What? But it goes
who makes a mango cake? But also, wow, okay, chocolate mango. This actually works pretty well. Now I want chocolate mango ice cream.
Now I want chocolate mango anything. I'll take it.
We made mistakes.
But let's start with food.
Yeah, let's do food. Top 10 Habibis foods.
Oh no, Fauzi, seriously, this should be your next gameplay. It's
it is. That's the problem. It is. I downloaded it, but then I made the mistake of starting playing Shin Megami Tensei. So,
so we'll talk about Inscription like halfway next year.
Yeah.
All right. So Inscription for 3, I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
And
I would honestly, even though Rami felt a little bit strongly about it, I would still put Guardians of the Galaxy next. And the reason for that is because I loved it. Fauzi has it as his number 1, and that weighs a lot. And Rami didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Wow, I sound like such a terrible person right now. It's like, here's the thing, we both loved it. Rami didn't hate it.
No, but what I mean to say is if you're like, no, I don't like this game, then it, like you did with It Takes Two, then It Takes Two would go much lower.
Fair.
But for you were like kind of meh, but positive on it. But
at the same time, like for me, if you take Guardians, then you have Persona 5 Strikers, you've got Loop Hero. So for me, that. But okay, you know what? Khalas. Like
but none of those are anyone's number 1 unless Persona 5 Strikers is your number 1.
You're right. Like let's Fauzi needs his voice. Like he's much shorter than us. Like let's make sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm the loudest though.
That usually scans, right?
So okay, Guardians for number 4. Khalas, like tamam. Let's keep that.
Yes. Then
now we fight. For the listeners, I'm not that short. I'm good.
No.
Those two are freakishly tall.
This is fair. Fauzi is not short.
Yes,
I'm just very tall.
Yes.
Osama's sort of middle tall,
which is mind-boggling for me because I'm like almost 6'3", and anywhere I go, if Rami's not there, I'm like the tallest or very close to it. Then Rami's there, and I'm looking up to him the entire time. It makes no sense.
Makes sense to me. Just everybody is short.
Well, it's cool. Like we have a Habibi for every size. So
it's perfect.
Fair.
All right. So next up,
the episode. Just say
no. 3 game developers of every size drinking good Arab tea.
All right. So next up, we have Persona 5 Strikers and Loop Hero, each of which only 2 of us have played. And we have to try to figure out who cares about these games. Right. Loop Hero, which I played, is my number 8, which is good. Persona 5 is the number 5 of Fauzi. So Rami, I think you're more or less the tiebreaker because you've played both. So what do you like more?
For me, it's going to be Loop Hero, like easily. I really, really adored Persona 5. Like I'll straight up say that. Like it was such a good world to come back into, and it would have been so easy to make a bad game out of Persona 5 Strikers, right? Like it will be so straightforward to do a bad job with that game, and instead they recaptured the magic, they recaptured the Phantom Thieves, they created new stakes, they got that style back from the original turn-based game, and then managed to make it work as effectively like a large-scale hack and slash. It's an incredible game, and it does some really good things in representation. It does some really good things in sort of like storytelling. It unpacks very personal topics, and it goes hard. Persona 5 goes very hard, but Persona 5 Strikers does not pull any punches.
Yeah, but for me, like from a game dev point of view, I am so inspired by like it's so rare that another team with an entirely different style picks up a sequel to another game and then makes them in their own style, and still as you play it you go like, this is a continuation, like you don't even feel like they're 2 separate games, though they are for every intents and purpose. Like the way those two games continue each other and still manage to keep the style of the game and the style of the dev team. Like hats off. Never seen anything like it. Very, very impressive.
Genuinely, the fact that I had to go back and look at the original Persona 5 and be like, how does combat work again in this game? Because in my mind, it had just switched to the Persona 5 Strikers combat. And then when I watched my mom, when I watched back some videos from my mom playing Persona 5, and then went back to look at Strikers, I'd be like, wait, how does that work again? Because it's not turn-based, this one. Like, it just genuinely, it's so fluid that they meld into the same memory, which is remarkable, right? But Loop Hero, for me, really, really stood out. It was unlike anything I've ever played. It is such a good mix of deck builder, of roguelike, of auto battler, just 4 genres that shouldn't work together, but somehow feel coherent and feel together. I've never played anything like Loop Hero, and I adore it. I absolutely adore that game. So for me, Loop Hero would take.
Well, since we said that you were the tiebreaker before we knew what you were going to choose, I'm good with that. Are you good with that, Fauzi? Loop Hero?
I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Good. All right. So
I think, like, just the last note on Persona 5 is like one of the hardest things about recommending this game for me is that whenever I'm going to tell someone, this game is so good, you have to play it. But also first, you need to spend 120 hours in this other game, finish that, and then jump into this one to really, really get the best of it. Sometimes it's a bit of a tall order. Which is, I'm guessing, why, Sammy, you didn't get the chance to play it yourself, right?
That's exactly why, because I'm like, I'll play it as soon as I play Persona 5. And I have Persona 5, and I'm like, oh, that's a 200-hour game. I'm just going to finish off a few of these games for my list first. And here we are. And it's the same reason I haven't started a Yakuza. I've downloaded all of them. I'm waiting to go.
Go play Zero. It's so good.
Yeah, go play Zero, man.
That's the problem. I want to. It's not that I'm saying no, but I'm like, I'm currently finishing like 10 games.
Right. But like for Yakuza, genuinely, just don't worry about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Like, do Zero. If you fall in love with Zero, you're automatically going to play the other.
Right. Yes.
And if you don't, then Zero on its own is still a remarkable game, even if it's not. Even if at the end you go like, I don't really feel like playing more of this, because to be honest, Yakuza is a very formulaic series.
Yeah.
It does smart twists on everything, but at the end, a Yakuza game is a Yakuza game is a Yakuza game. So
if you play one, then you get the gist of how most of them play.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. All right, I'm in. I mean, I've been in the whole time. I've been convinced. It's just I will play it.
Oh, yeah.
One day when Osama's away or something, Rami and I will do a top 10 Yakuza game list. And
yes.
I'm gonna hold
I'm
you
in for that. I'm in for that.
All right. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I propose is that we do number 10 and come back to 7. Hear me out. So in my opinion, It Takes Two should be our number 10. Because both me and Fauzi have it on our top 10. So it wouldn't make sense to have a game on two people's top 10 and not make it into the Habibis top 10. But because Rami doesn't feel strongly about it, it would be at the bottom of it. How does that sound? Is that a good compromise?
Let's put it there for now. Let's iterate on this. Let's iterate. We're not going to instantly make a perfect list. We're gonna iterate on this.
All right,
I'm
good.
fine
so
with
this
that.
is a starting point. All right. So
I'm
we're looking
for
now, we're looking for 3 games to fit into the 8 to 9.
So just to make sure I got this straight, we've got
7 to
Hitman
9,
3,
Yes.
we've got Resident Evil Village, Riders Republic, Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Returnal, Forgotten City, Slice and Dice, Backbone, Battle Royale, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Opus Echo of Starsong, Nier Replicant, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yes. We need to pick 3 from those.
All right. So how about each of us go to our list and remove the 2 we care least about?
All right.
Okay.
How about that?
I could do that.
How about let's make that list smaller?
But since mine is ordered,
That's easy for me too.
that's easy for me.
Yeah, I'm good with this. I'm good. So now we have left a much smaller list, which I think is going to make this simpler. So we have Hitman 3, Resident Evil Village, Riders Republic, Returnal, Forgotten City, Battle Royale, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, and Opus Echo of Starsong. Now I'm going to make this simpler for y'all. Neither of you is going to think Destiny 2 is. So I'm just going to remove the Star Horse because that's not going to be worth like arguing over, because I'm just going to talk for 3 minutes and then both of you are going to be silent.
Have either of you played Forgotten
This is a trauma, y'all.
Have either of you played Forgotten City?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was impressed.
Okay, good. So that's not a no.
No.
Well, my argument for what the number 7 is, I think it should be Returnal, and because it's my number 1. So in a similar way that Guardians of the Galaxy made it in because it was Fauzi's number 1.
Now you're just playing politics, man. This is some.
Hey,
some favors trading here.
This is fair. It like, come on, you cannot have it be one of our number 1s and not make the list. That doesn't make sense either.
I don't know. I don't even have a number 1. I don't get the free.
You have 2 games left. What's your favorite from Opus and Battle Royale? Choose your number 1.
Opus.
There you go. So you have a number 1 now, and I have a number 1.
Yeah, I don't think that's how we're. I understand what you're doing.
The last one, and we're done. Call it
and then we're done.
So I hear you, but also Returnal, I understand, but also, was it really that good?
Yes. So I have a love-hate relationship with Returnal. I'll admit that freely. But the love part was like the world building, the craft of making that world with so many few parts, like the emotions that it invokes, that is out of this world. No pun intended, but
no pun intended, but pun intended.
But pun intended retroactively. Yeah. I'm claiming that pun. It is a masterclass in world building, in my humble, and in just like evoking emotion. It's elegant. It's incredibly elegant and really well done. And for that part alone, in my opinion, again, there's no other game that came out this year that did that.
Right. So I think what I'm doing mentally right now is like, okay, Rami, if you don't get to add another game and you only have Osama and Fauzi's games, right? Which ones would I put at the top? That's kind of how I'm looking at this. And I'm having a hard time putting Returnal in that list. I think it will be third for me if I'm looking at it that way, right? I don't know. Like if both of you look at the other people's lists.
So that's the problem. I have not played any of the 5 games. I have not played Hitman 3, Resident Evil Village, Riders Republic, Battle Royale, or Opus. So if I have to look at your list, I pick nothing.
See, and Osama is just going to get his wishes because he hasn't played enough video games this year.
What? I played almost 50 video games. It's not my fault. 50, thousands of games came out this year.
It's less than 1 a week. Osama. Come on.
It's almost 1
Come
a
on.
week. That's a lot. It takes a long time.
I mean, like, your job is in games, right? You're playing games all day long. You could finish 2 a week easily.
Yeah, easy. What is this? What is this beginner stuff? What have you been up to? A podcast or something? Come on.
Oh, my God. well, now we're kind of stuck. We have 3 slots, potentially. We have 3 people. Maybe we could do it that way?
All right, let's make let's Fauzi, let's hear your argument. If you had to pick one of your own,
I would go with Hitman 3.
Right.
I mean, like, Hitman 3 is so much fun. I mean, I still I have so many fun water cooler moments that I shared with a lot of people here on the podcast. I was genuinely hysterical moment playing that game.
Yeah.
Was it you or Osama who dropped somebody over the balcony into a group of guards?
Well, I haven't played it, so it wasn't me.
I still laugh about that memory every now and then.
It's hilarious. Or when I slammed a banana in a guy's face.
Yes,
or
the banana. I remember that.
There's so many fun moments. But also, I think using that same toolkit in one of the maps, and Rami, I will remind you of this, they managed to somehow recreate Knives Out.
Right.
And it's using the same systems. It's the exact same systems. It was this goofy assassin game. Yep. And they managed to utilize that same systems to create this very fun detective game. And probably this was one of the better detective games I have played.
Yeah,
very few games have managed to successfully be able to translate you being a detective in a way that one level did. And I think that's why it ranked really high for me, in which that toolkit is so and the systems, they're so versatile that they made games within this game.
Yeah, I agree. I would honestly, personally, I would not object to putting Hitman next. Personally,
okay, I don't object either.
All right.
I mean, I've played Hitman games in the past, so I could imagine that this was a very good one.
This one is honestly, if you like Hitman games, Hitman 3 fits like a murder glove.
Yeah.
But
nice.
it is still much better than you would expect. They really took the formula to a next level.
Although I really like that expression, please tell me the episode's not going to be called Murder Love. That would be really bad.
I mean, this is how we're going to decide the next 2 games. What do you mean? Like, of course, it's going to be called Murder Glove.
I thought it was going to be a Habibi of every size.
All right, that gets my vote.
We'll think about that one. Okay, so Hitman 3, and then I guess. Fauzi, do you have any really strong case for the top 10 for Resident Evil or Riders Republic?
For me, I think considering what Osama said about Returnal, Forgotten City, or Opus, like I wouldn't want to fight to put another one up there, but I wanted these games to be mentioned. And so we can talk about how good both of these games are, especially that in Riders Republic, I feel like it's one of those games that went a little bit unnoticed. And I struggled kind of thinking should I talk about this or not? But I was a fan of this game before I joined the company, and I was like, I still want to talk about this game because it's it's a lot of fun. Roll stuff downhill with a lot of other people and having a blast. It's a very fun game. I just wanted to give it a voice. Mm-hmm. But on Habibi's top 10, considering that 2 people haven't played it, it's a bit tough.
This is how I felt with the Destiny thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
I'm just gonna edit in such a long pause after your story. Okay. Tamam. So Resident Evil Village and Riders Republic, we're gonna say that they're not gonna make it. Probably. All right. Yeah. Unless Osam and I both make very bad cases for our game.
So I think all 3 of us played Returnal, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I'm the only one who has it on my list, so it's very possible that counts.
I don't know. I thought it was good.
Yeah, same. I
think it's better than It Takes Two, too. So I'm it should make it on the list from my point of view.
Oh, I think so you want to bump out It Takes Two for Returnal? That's your
No, I don't. I think it's better than It Takes Two, and we still have 2 spots open. So I don't think I can make I love Battle Royale, but I don't think I can make a case for it making it on the list among these games. So
I'd be happy for Returnal and Opus to make the last 2 slots.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll just have to figure out in which order.
Yeah, I haven't.
Tell us about Opus so that we give Opus a time in and some airtime.
Yes. So Opus is a very strange game because it is many things at once. But the most important thing you should know about the game is that it is a game made by a small team in Taiwan, and it is the 3rd or 4th game in a series that I've deeply, deeply loved. That they haven't managed to break through here in the West, right? And one of the things that I really like about the game is that it doesn't shy away from using their own culture, right? And I think that is something that we don't see very often. Pretty much every game on our list right now is built from a either Japanese or very Western point of view. And Opus manages to, again, marry together a whole bunch of stuff with a very sincere, very genuine story, and some really interesting puzzles, right? It's kind of a puzzle game. It's sort of an exploration game. It's sort of a fly around the world map. There's kind of all sorts of things happening, and it all works well. It's gorgeous. It just got super overlooked because people look at it and they're like, I don't understand this mythology, and then just kind of moved on.
I played an hour of it, and I really saw everything that you're talking about, Rami. It looks way bigger than than a game of that size and that team size would be able to produce. It's incredible quality, I would say, and a very interesting world as well.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing because they're telling a local myth, right? It's a story from that region of Asia, but they're telling it as a sci-fi story. So it was funny because I talked to some friends from that region, and they just all went it's this story. Wait, what? They're like, no, it's a very common. It's very common. So everybody who knows their literature and their old stories, they know how this story is going to end from the moment it starts because you recognize sort of the setup.
That's interesting.
And I'm like, oh. wow, okay, so this is just, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, but it's not like a ripoff of that story or anything. No, it's both a very old story and also like they're doing their own spin on it, but you immediately recognize it. And I'm like, can you imagine that with like Arab mythology? Like that's the part that just makes me really happy about this game is they did it, and finally Opus made it a little bit into the press in the West. But also as I was playing it, I was so enamored with the world and with the characters and with the game. And the gameplay is, it's not a complex game. It's pretty straightforward. It's light on its mechanics. It's really a delivery method for its narrative, for its story, for its world. It's beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's very good.
I'm happy that this game will have a place on our list, to be honest.
I agree.
Me too.
I haven't played it, but with everything you're saying,
I'm looking forward to
you should absolutely play it. Yeah, you should. It's wonderful. But then obviously the game that is left then is Returnal to figure out which one of these goes first, right?
I'm comfortable with either 8th or 9th, as how you felt about it. So I don't mind.
So that's a problem because I'm the same.
Uh-oh. Rosie, you're the tiebreaker.
I played a bit of both. Haven't played a bit of both and haven't played a lot more of both. So I would say Opus tells and creates an interesting world and all of that, and Returnal does too. Returnal is quite unique in the kind of game that it is. You need to play Returnal to kind of get what Returnal is, even though people might explain it to you to some extent. And I think the uniqueness in world and story puts it higher up for me than Opus.
That's fair.
Then we do that.
I think we have a list, gentlemen.
I think we have a list. Let's go through it and see if any of us is very upset about anything. Oh, I am actually. All right. So from the bottom, we have at number 10, It Takes Two.
Yep.
At number 9, Opus Echo Star Song. Yep. At number 8, we have Returnal. 7, Hitman 3. 6, Persona 5 Strikers. 5, Loop Hero. 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. 3, Inscription. 2, Unpacking. And 1, The Artful Escape.
What a list of games.
What a year.
Yeah.
I need to argue, though.
What?
I'm sorry, but I think Unpacking should go on 1. That's it. That's the argument. That's the only thing. The only thing I would change is I would flip the 1 and 2. So I think the argument I want to make is that I think that The Artful Escape does a tremendous job of sort of what do you call it? Weaving in all these feelings about creativity that any creative has had in their life, right? Yeah. And that it is meaningful and that it is resonant and that it does such an incredible job of creating a metaphor through gameplay and through narrative, through its world, through its art, through its music. It does an incredible job of weaving that all together into an incredibly coherent experience. And even though you can tell that this is a young design team, they actually use that to their benefit, right? They're shying away from certain traditions and certain expectations of what the game should be, and they're sort of stubbornly moving against that in some places, most notably with the character creator, right? Which I think is still one of my favorite touches of game design of the past year. But I want to argue that Unpacking does all of the above, but it does it for the incredibly and absolutely 100% of humans has had this experience moving, right? And I think the amount of resonance Unpacking creates, the amount of life that it touches is bigger than Artful Escape, even though both of them do an equal job of using that to strong effect. It's just the feeling of unpacking, the feeling of opening a box of your stuff, and the feeling of seeing a life through that lens. It meaningfully changed my life and the way I look at things, right? The way I look at stuff that I own, the way I look at keeping things and throwing away things. And I think Artful Escape just reiterated something that I already knew deep down, which is that the job we do is hard and it's personal and it takes effort. And I've been through that fight, right? I've been through the Artful Escape. I've done the Artful Escape. I've done that in my life. And I've recently done it with Vlambeer, right? Escaping from what Vlambeer is and trying to become Rami, right? But I think Unpacking will stay true for all of my life.
It's, right? What you're saying, Rami, resonates a lot with me because both of these games also spoke to me on a very deep level, right? the creative journey simplified in Artful Escape, and then my actual life journey with unpacking as I moved my life across 7 countries.
Right. Especially for you, I feel unpacking must have been a pretty deep cut.
I played unpacking 3 times.
Right.
Wow.
I finished the game and then I replayed it, and it was this thing that I was like, I could start a new game today, but then but it's sitting there on my dashboard. I'm gonna play this again.
Yeah. Right. I spent so much time crying at unpacking that it's not even funny, because it hit at sort of a sensitive time for me, and I just wept at that game continuously. It had and then I smiled at it because there's also the little moments of joy and triumph.
Yeah.
And recognizing things and starting to recognize things from that life, and it's just it's so hard to imagine how complete the encapsulation of a life can be through just the items that you have with you.
Yeah.
But my God, is it everything, right?
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, I completely really understand. Difficult. With Artful Escape, finishing it, I was inspired to create stuff as well. And that's a very powerful feeling. Wow, that's cool. I want to do stuff, I want to do stuff that touch people in that way as well.
Yeah.
And unpacking on a very different but very similar emotional inducing kind of way as well. Yeah, you know what? I'll be fine with either.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd be fine with either too. They're both really excellent. On my list, they came super close together. I have, they're both really
sorry, Osama. I think there's the game maker part of me that wants to say the Artful Escape is a bigger game to be brought together as a debut or as a team that hasn't done a game together before. So for them to realize this vision and to bring it in that scope, I thought was also impressive. So
right.
So other than the message itself, why it's a high up game out there, it was hard for me to not think about how difficult it is to make games under these circumstances and all of this. So imagine you being a small team doing this together for the first time, some members making a game for the first time, and for them to make something this impactful was kind of in there for me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, from what I'm just obviously going to read this in favor of my opinion here. But if you two both don't care, I do care.
Okay.
If both of you say I think both the arguments can be made for both of them. I genuinely think unpacking is a larger thing, and I'm saying this explicitly, this bluntly, so that if either of you go wait, no, that you have an opportunity to counter blunt. Is that a word?
It is now.
I mean, for me, I find it hard to start a fight over the number 1 and 2 best games of this year.
I mean, it would be a good cliffhanger for the 51st episode of the Habibis. We'll do a midweek teasers.
I'm very comfortable looking first. Artful Escape is still be a little bit higher on my list simply because of how impactful it was at a time that I really needed it. Unpacking is an excellent game as well, so no argument. Not going to.
I'm not going to swap them around. I'm going to leave it to Osama. Osama's the spreadsheet bird.
Oh no! Okay, I'll wait for the final word from Fauzi, and if not, then I'm going.
Yeah, Artful Escape ranks a bit higher for me, but as you see in my own list, they're right next to each other there too. So I've thought about this in my head a lot, and I ended up with Artful Escape being at the top as well.
Okay. So I don't know what to do. How about we have 2 number 1s? Is that a cop-out?
It's kind of a cop-out, but at the same time, we make the rules.
All right, let's make the rules.
But okay, if we're doing a cop-out, in what order do we list them?
Oh no, Robbie, why do you have to make this so hard? Alphabetically. That way we get what we want, right, folks?
Oh, I know it. Let's translate it to Arabic. And then do it alphabetically.
Oh no.
I'd say that would work.
Translate that.
I don't know either. Yeah, I guess.
Unpacking. افتح العلب.
Yeah. Okay.
الرحيل.
It's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, I like doing it in Arabic because I think unpacking will get ahead then.
It goes الرحيل.
Let's see.
All right, I'm fine. I'm like, let's do it. Osama, you're supposed to decide. No cop outs. Just make your call.
All right, I'm going to upset Rami and stay with the order we had before because we're 2 against 1. And I'm sorry, Rami, I still love you.
He tried.
Yeah. I tried. I mean, I'm not trying to like force anything here. I just wanted to make my case.
Yeah, I think you make a very strong case, and honestly,
very strong.
By a hair.
You make a very strong case, but we're going to ignore it.
No, we're going to take it under advisement.
Right.
We didn't ignore
Inshallah.
it. Osama exercised the power you gave him.
Yeah. What a mistake. Rami will remember this for the next year as the Habibis Game of the Year.
Oh, no.
Next year, we're like planning who the host is for this episode.
Exactly. You have an IOU for next year now, Rami. You better remember it, though.
Okay. Yes. Wow. Then we have a list.
We have a list
again one more time?
Yes. Mm-hmm. From the bottom. Number 10, It Takes Two. Number 9, Opus, Echoes of Starsaw. Number 8, Returnal. Number 7, Hitman 3. Number 6, Persona 5 Strikers. Number 5, Loop Hero. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Inscription. Number 2, Unpacking. And number 1, The Artful Escape.
I had a little hope left that you would just flip them around.
I considered it for a fraction of a second.
Yeah, I heard the pause, and I'm like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it?
Too much chaos. I'm like, no, I'm not going to introduce that kind of chaos. It's too early in the morning for that.
What a list, though. Like, I would be happily tell people, which game should I play for 2021? Play everything on this list. They're all good.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep, every single one of these games is incredible. What a year for games! Like, I didn't expect it. I genuinely didn't expect it. Like at the start of the year,
it's so hard to make games under these conditions, just to release anything.
At the start of the year, I looked at the list ahead, and I was just like, I'm not sure if this is going to be gaming's year, right? Like, I'm not sure if we're going to have good stuff, but we're here, and my God, my God,
that's like how many years in a row since 2017 until now, like better than
since 2011. I'm not sure
really. I'm not sure this year is better than some of the years before because we've had some absolutely, but it's so good regardless, right? Like without ranking them, like just there's not been a year where you're like, well, there's really nothing to play, and it would have been last year or this year with the console generation switch. PS5 and Xbox Series X coming out, and you kind of go like, well, I'm not sure if people can. If we can actually have good
PS5.
games come out. Well, I mean, I got the PS5, so that was never really a question for me. But we're skipping games like Ratchet and Clank, which was beautiful and good. Like there was such incredible efforts in every aspect of game creation, in art, in sound, in experimentation, in game design, indie, AAA. Like you look at this list and. Our top 3 games are indie games, right? Which to me always says like it's been a healthy year for games. Is that this list is like pretty much half AAA and indie, right?
Yeah, and even the AAAs are kind of healthy. More AA. Even the bigger games are not the biggest blockbuster games this year.
Right. It just feels very healthy to me.
Yeah,
like I always feel like there should be sort of a wave in our industry, like AAA taking the lead, and then indie taking the lead, AAA taking the lead, indie taking on these lists. And I think last year was very much a AAA game for a lot of people, a AAA year for a lot of people, because it was a good year, right? Flight Simulator, Final Fantasy, Tsushima, Yakuza, like stuff like that. Hades obviously made it onto a lot of lists, but
my favorite was Ghost of Tsushima, but Hades was such a close second.
So good.
So good. And that's one AAA, one indie. There you go.
So it's just it feels like a very healthy year, and I'm really looking forward to next year. I hope we get more like surprises, like surefire things. Like the one game where I'm just like I feel kind of bad because I think for all of us the same thing happened. Did any of us actually finish Halo Infinite?
No.
I didn't get the chance to, unfortunately.
I'm really curious if we've played it. If we come back to this list, we feel like it deserved a spot in here. That's the only question I have left.
I think it'll still qualify for 2022 because I'm not going to play it until the co-op part comes out.
Right.
That's how
Same.
it plays. So.
No, we'll make it next year.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's fair.
Wow.
The thing I like a lot about this episode as well is that if everything goes to plan, inshallah, and we host the episode and everything goes as we normally would do it, it should come out on December 31st.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is the December 31st episode. Oh my God.
Yes.
We need to sign off for the year.
So we sign off the year with our Game of the Year list, and we get to say to everybody, Kul Sana wa Antum Salmin, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for sticking with the Habibis with these crazy bunch of episodes.
Yeah. Wow.
Happy New Year. And
Happy New Year.
Can't wait to share more with you next year.
Yeah, I really hope 2022 will be slightly better as a year, because it was a rough year for me. Like, just sort of looking back. It was not the easiest year. But
y'all
I'm still
made
so
it
happy.
So much better, right? Like
that's it. Like this podcast made it so much better. Like the 2021 for me, like is really the year of the Habibis. This is, I do a lot of things. I've been starting on a lot of projects, but like for me, obviously, getting to reconnect a bit with my culture and getting to hang out with you two and like the community and all the good things that are coming out of it. So many interesting initiatives in the community, people reaching out, people like doing things, the emails, everything. So wonderful. I look forward to talking about that because soon we'll also have our first, I guess our 53rd episode.
Yes.
Which will be the first episode after a year of Habibis.
Yes.
I think at that point we should do a proper look back and like look at the Habibis, but I can easily say that 2021 for me, like Game of the Year is the Habibis.
Yeah.
And then number 2 is unpacking.
Oh, your persistence, Yarabi. I love it.
Oh, that he is.
Yes. I love it. Number 1, the Habibis. The top 10 Habibis. No bias there whatsoever.
Nothing.
I love it. All right. Is that it? Do we call it?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Kul Sana wa Antum Salmin, everybody. Kul Aam wa Antum Khair.
Yes. Salam, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, salam, I guess. I'm just...
Why so sad?
I don't know. It feels really weird to wrap up the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just... Okay, 2021, inshallah, lots of good stories, lots of good stuff to everybody listening. Inshallah, an incredible year for all of you. And I guess we'll see you in 2022.
Yes.
Good. Salam.
Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I'm Osama Dorias, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Osama Dorias. My fellow Habibis were Rami Ismail, you can find on Twitter at @THA_Rami, and Fauzi Mesmar, who you can find on Twitter at Fauzi Mesmar. Send us your questions, stories, suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.